Am I the only one who didn't know that London parents used to hang their babies outside windows in the 1930s? Wait, what? Back in the 1930s, living in cramped London apartments was the norm. Fresh air? That was a luxury. But parents knew fresh air and sunshine were crucial for their baby's development. So what did they do? They put their babies in cages and hung them outside the windows. Yep, these baby cages were all the rage. They were designed to give little ones the benefits of fresh air and sunshine without needing a garden. Think of it as an early version of a balcony, but for babies. And hey, it worked. Babies got their dose of vitamin D and parents got some much-needed space. Crazy, right? So next time you complain about not having enough room, just remember, at least you're not hanging your baby out the window. Why did 750,000 British pets have to die before World War II even began? In 1939, just before World War II broke out, the British government handed out pamphlets titled Advice to Animal Owners. It warned of food shortages and suggested moving pets to the countryside. But for many, that wasn't possible. The pamphlet also recommended a grim alternative: humanely destroy your pets. Shockingly, it even included an ad for a pistol to do the job. Within a week, an estimated 750,000 pets were euthanized. It's a heartbreaking chapter often overlooked in history books. Tonight, let's all give our fur babies an extra hug. They deserve it.
I think I messed up. Or maybe the Soviets did in 1947. So, picture this. 5 men, imprisoned as enemies of the state. They're locked in a secret Soviet military facility and subjected to a sinister experiment. A sleep-inhibiting stimulant designed to keep them awake for 30 days. The promise: freedom. Now, fast forward to day 15. When the stimulants finally turned off, what they found inside the chamber was a scene straight out of a nightmare. One prisoner dead, the others mutilated beyond recognition, having done it to themselves. Disembowelment, self-inflicted wounds, a grotesque picture of horror. But that's not all. The survivors had developed inhuman strength and a terrifying resistance to drugs and sedatives. They even managed to murder a soldier who tried to remove them. What happened next? Well, that's a story for another day. Maybe some things are better left in the dark.
Exposing one of the darkest secrets in prison history, meet the Tucker telephone. In the 1960s, A.E. Rollins, a physician at an Arkansas prison farm, invented a device that would haunt its victims forever. The Tucker telephone turned a simple crank phone into a torture device. Inmates were strapped down, and electrical currents surged through their bodies, pushing them to the brink of unconsciousness. This brutal method caused irreversible damage to organs and mental health. While the use of the Tucker telephone was stopped in 1968, the scars it left behind are a grim reminder of the past. Let's never forget this dark chapter in history.
I'm sure you've heard the news. Did you know the heir to Jameson whiskey was involved in a horrifying incident in the Congo? In 1888, James Jameson, the heir to the Jameson whiskey empire, was on an expedition in the Congo. He was told the area was inhabited by cannibals and wanted to see it firsthand. What he did next is truly shocking. Jameson allegedly bought a 10-year-old enslaved girl just to watch her be killed and eaten. Yes, you heard that right. A Sudanese translator named Assad Farhan recounted the horrific event. The girl was tied to a tree. Natives sharpened their knives as Jameson watched and even sketched the gruesome scene. Jameson's family, with help from the Belgian government, managed to keep it hush-hush. And Jameson, he never denied it. He died before facing any justice. Shocking, right?
If you love snacks and mind-blowing facts, then you're in for a treat. Let's talk about the inventor who took his creation to the grave, literally. Meet Frederick Bauer, the mastermind behind the Pringles can. In the 1960s, Bauer, a chemist at Procter & Gamble, was tasked with creating a new way to store chips that wasn't a bag. Voila! The iconic Pringles can was born in 1966, changing snack storage forever. But here's the twist. Bauer was so proud of his creation he insisted on being buried in one. When Bauer passed away in 2008, his family honored his wish by placing his ashes in a classic original Pringles can. Larry, Bauer's son, recalled laughing when his dad first mentioned the idea in the 1980s. But they made it happen, proving Bauer's love for his invention was truly undying. Got a snack fact that tops this one? Share it in the comments.
None can claim a fate more dramatic than Tsutomu Yamaguchi's, surviving 2 atomic bombs in 3 days. Tsutomu Yamaguchi was in Hiroshima for work on August 6, 1945. When the first atomic bomb dropped less than 2 miles away, he survived with severe burns and ruptured eardrums. Barely hanging on, he made his way home to Nagasaki. After getting treated, he returned to work. His boss, skeptical, called him in to recount the horror. As he described the Hiroshima bombing, fate struck again. The second atomic bomb hit Nagasaki, less than 2 miles away from him. Incredibly, Yamaguchi survived again, enduring severe radiation poisoning. He didn't just survive, he lived until 2010, reaching the age of 93. Yamaguchi remains the only person officially recognized by Japan for surviving both atomic bombings. But he wasn't alone. As many as 165 others shared this harrowing experience. Talk about resilience.
None of the horrors of World War I were more terrifying than this, and it's not hard to see why. World War I was filled with nightmarish stories of human brutality, especially when chemical warfare was involved. But the attack on Oswiecki Fortress in 1915 takes the cake. German forces unleashed a devastating bombardment of chlorine and bromine gas on Russian soldiers. The poisonous gases burned their skin, seared their lungs, and left them coughing up blood. But the Russians didn't retreat. Covered in bloody bandages, with faces twisted in agony, they rose and marched forward. Their appearance was so gruesome, the German troops believed they were facing zombies. In sheer terror, the Germans fled. This haunting episode became known as the Attack of the Dead Men. The determination of these soldiers, fighting through unimaginable pain, remains one of the most chilling stories of World War I. The courage they showed, unforgettable.
What I wish I knew before watching this is how many people were buried alive. Buckle up. In the past, medical science wasn't what it is today. People were sometimes buried alive due to conditions like catalepsy, which made them appear dead. In the 1800s, there were countless reports of people being found alive in their graves. They were discovered too late. It's not just history. Even recently, in 2020, a person was taken to a funeral home before anyone realized they were still breathing. Can you imagine the horror? Thanks to modern medicine, these mistakes are rare now, but the thought of it happening is enough to send shivers down your spine. So next time you hear about someone being buried alive, remember, it's not just a ghost story, it's chillingly real.
If you're a history buff, you need to know about Terrari, the man with an insatiable, horrifying hunger. Born in the mid-1700s, Terrari was a Frenchman with an appetite beyond belief. He could devour a quarter of a cow's worth of beef in a single day, but it didn't stop there. Terrari's hunger was so extreme he began eating anything, cats, dogs, and even live eels. His bizarre cravings landed him in a hospital, where the staff caught him in the act of consuming corpses and drinking blood. Yes, you heard that right, the horror escalates. It's believed Terrari even ate a missing 14-month-old baby from the hospital. His insatiable appetite baffled doctors, and he only lived to the age of 26. Today, we suspect Terrari suffered from a severe case of polyphagia, a disease causing uncontrollable hunger. His story remains one of history's most disturbing medical mysteries. Suggestion none. During Stalin's ruthless, forced industrialization of Russia, millions were left to starve. Stalin confiscated all the food and crops from the farmers, leaving them with nothing. Desperation took a horrifying turn. Parents, driven mad by hunger, were forced to eat their own children to survive. The extent of this horror is unimaginable, but it happened. Records show countless cases where starvation led to such unimaginable acts. This is the grim reality of Stalin's Russia. It's a chapter of history that's hard to believe, but it's crucial to remember. The human spirit was tested beyond its limits, and sometimes it broke. Never forget the lessons of the past. History's dark secrets should never be buried.